In her final moments, the truth finally surfaced. With a pained and regretful expression, she held Sophia's hand and whispered, "Sophia, I killed your father." These words echoed in the silence of the room, a confession that would change everything, shaking the very foundations of her life.
Hello, welcome to True Tales, Authentic Emotions by Emma Blake. Today I am delighted to share a new story with you. Let's dive into this tale.
Sophia had always admired her mother, a serene and composed woman who tirelessly worked to support the family after her father's death. Her mother was known throughout the town for her dedication and selflessness, a figure of strength and resilience who faced all adversities with a gentle smile. There was never a moment when she showed any sign of guilt or remorse. Sophia's life revolved around this admiration. Her childhood memories were filled with scenes of her mother reading bedtime stories, their shared laughter, and moments of affection. Each memory now seemed tinged with uncertainty and doubt, as if a shadow had been cast over her entire past. The deathbed confession turned these cherished memories into pieces of a puzzle she desperately needed to solve. Desperate for answers, Sophia began to question everything. Whispers among adults, furtive glances, and moments of tension she had ignored began to resurface. Every detail, no matter how insignificant it seemed, could be the key to understanding the truth behind that devastating confession. Sophia started to investigate her family's past, reviewing old documents, letters, and photos. She discovered that her father, a renowned and beloved businessman, had faced severe financial problems before his death. Accumulated debts and risky business decisions painted a picture of a man desperate to maintain his reputation and support his family. At the same time, Sophia recalled her mother's strength and determination. How did she manage to endure the pain of losing her husband and raise her daughter alone? How did she maintain the facade of normalcy and calm while carrying such a dark secret? Her mother's confession seemed impossible to reconcile with the woman she knew and loved. Questions piled up in Sophia's mind. Who was her father really? What did he do to deserve such a fate? And more importantly, why would her mother, a woman who always seemed to embody kindness and tranquility, commit such an extreme act? Determined to uncover the truth, Sophia knew she needed to dig into the past, face the dark secrets, and solve the mystery her mother had left behind. Sophia's mother was a pillar of strength in the family. After her father's death, she took on the role of both parents, working tirelessly to support them. She was always there for Sophia, offering comfort and guidance despite her own hardships. Her mother's unwavering dedication and calm demeanor were a source of inspiration for Sophia, who grew up idolizing her. As Sophia grew older, she witnessed her mother's sacrifices firsthand. Long hours at work, sleepless nights, and countless moments of silent endurance shaped Sophia's understanding of resilience. Her mother never complained, even when the burden seemed too heavy to bear. She faced each challenge with a quiet determination that left a lasting impression on Sophia. One evening, after a particularly hard day, Sophia found her mother sitting alone in the kitchen, staring out the window with a distant look in her eyes. It was one of the rare moments when she let her guard down, revealing the weight she carried. Sophia realized then that her mother's strength came at a great personal cost, a cost she was only beginning to understand. Despite the challenges, Sophia's mother always made time for her. She attended school events, helped with homework, and shared bedtime stories that filled Sophia's nights with wonder and comfort. These moments of connection were precious, serving as a testament to her mother's unwavering love and commitment. As the years passed, Sophia became more aware of the complexities of her mother's life. She saw the financial struggles, the societal pressures, and the silent battles fought behind closed doors. Yet, her mother never wavered. She remained a constant source of support and stability, teaching Sophia the true meaning of strength and dedication. The deathbed confession cast a long shadow over these memories, adding a layer of complexity to the image of her mother. Sophia grappled with the revelation, trying to reconcile the loving, dedicated woman she knew with the shocking truth she had revealed. It was a struggle that would define her journey, pushing her to seek the full story behind her mother's life and actions. Sophia sat on her bed, surrounded by old family photos, her eyes filled with a mixture of nostalgia and confusion. Each photograph seemed to tell a different story now, as she re-examined her past with the weight of her mother's confession. Moments once filled with joy and simplicity were now overshadowed by doubt and suspicion. Memories of family holidays, her father's laughter, and her mother's comforting presence swirled in her mind. She questioned every smile and every glance, wondering if they hid secrets she was too young to notice. The bedtime stories her mother used to tell her, once a source of comfort, now felt like veiled attempts to shield her from a darker reality. Sophia remembered a particular summer day at the beach, her father teaching her how to swim. His encouragement and pride were vivid in her memory, but now she wondered if he was already hiding his financial troubles and the desperation that would eventually consume him. The clarity of her mother's strength stood in stark contrast to the shadow of deceit that seemed to loom over her father. As she sifted through letters and documents, she began to piece together a timeline of her parents' lives. She found love letters between her parents that revealed a deep connection, but also hints of tension and unspoken fears. One letter from her father mentioned the life insurance policy, a decision that now seemed sinister rather than protective. With each revelation, Sophia's understanding of her family's past grew more complex. The image of her mother as a devoted, selfless woman clashed with the reality of the confession, while her father's loving facade crumbled under the weight of financial despair and possible betrayal. The puzzle pieces were slowly coming together, but the picture they formed was far from what Sophia had expected. Sophia sat at her mother's old desk, surrounded by stacks of documents, letters, and photos. Determination etched on her face, she began the arduous task of piecing together the truth behind her mother's confession. Each document she uncovered was a potential clue, and each letter a piece of the puzzle. She started with the financial records, looking for any inconsistencies or unusual transactions that might explain her father's desperate actions. The more she dug, the more she uncovered about the financial turmoil that plagued their family. Her father's business, once thriving, had been on the brink of collapse, riddled with debts and risky investments. Sophia found letters from creditors demanding payment, contracts that fell through, and records of loans taken out in desperation. It painted a grim picture of a man struggling to keep his head above water, a far cry from the stable provider she remembered. She also discovered letters between her parents that hinted at the growing strain in their relationship. Her mother's letters were filled with concern and support, but also frustration at her father's secretive behavior. One letter in particular stood out, mentioning a mysterious meeting that her father had just before his death. Determined to follow every lead, Sophia sought out the people mentioned in the documents. She contacted old business associates, friends, and even distant relatives, hoping to uncover more about her father's last days. Each conversation added a new layer to the story, revealing a man increasingly isolated and desperate, and a woman burdened with the impossible task of holding everything together. With every revelation, the image of her parents became more complex, their lives more intertwined with secrets and sacrifices. Sophia's journey to uncover the truth was just beginning, and the path ahead promised more challenges and heartache. Sophia sat in the dimly lit room, financial records spread out before her. Each document she examined revealed more about the hidden struggles her father faced. The weight of his debts and the desperation behind his business decisions became painfully clear. Her father's business, once a symbol of stability, had been crumbling under the surface. Sophia found records of unpaid loans, failed investments, and mounting bills. Letters from creditors demanded immediate payment, threatening legal action and foreclosure. The veneer of success he maintained for so long now seemed like a fragile facade. She discovered that her father had taken out multiple loans to keep the business afloat, each one plunging the family deeper into debt. Risky ventures that promised high returns had backfired, leaving him with nothing but losses. The pressure must have been immense, pushing him to the brink. Among the documents, Sophia found a letter from her father to a business associate. It was a plea for help, filled with a sense of urgency and fear. He spoke of needing funds to cover immediate debts, hinting at a desperate plan to secure financial stability. This letter shed light on the extent of his struggles and his increasingly frantic attempts to save the family. With every new piece of information, the reality of her father's plight became more apparent. Sophia could see how the financial turmoil had driven him to extreme measures. The picture of a desperate man trying to protect his family at any cost was becoming clearer, and the weight of this revelation pressed heavily on her heart. Sophia sat at the old wooden desk, a stack of yellowed letters before her. Each one was a window into her parents' complicated relationship, revealing the love and tension that had defined their lives together. She carefully unfolded a letter, her father's handwriting familiar, yet filled with an urgency she hadn't noticed before. The letters began sweetly, with expressions of love and devotion. Her father wrote about his hopes for their future and his gratitude for her mother's unwavering support. But as the financial pressures mounted, the tone shifted. The stress of his failing business seeped into his words, and the letters became increasingly strained. In one letter, her father mentioned the life insurance policy again, describing it as a necessary precaution. He wrote about the sleepless nights and the weight of responsibility he felt to provide for the family. It was clear he was deeply troubled, and his desperation was palpable. Her mother's responses were filled with compassion but also frustration. She expressed her concern for his well-being and the toll the business was taking on their family. There were hints of arguments and disagreements about the best path forward. Her mother's letters showed a woman trying to be strong and supportive while grappling with her own fears and anxieties. The letters painted a picture of a couple deeply in love but facing immense pressure. The financial struggles had driven a wedge between them, yet their commitment to each other remained evident. These revelations added another layer of complexity to Sophia's understanding of her parents, highlighting the sacrifices they both made and the personal battles they fought behind closed doors. Sophia discovered an old, weathered document buried among her father's papers. It was a life insurance policy, taken out shortly before his death. The details were startling: a substantial sum, payable only in the event of his untimely demise. This discovery raised new questions and suspicions about her father's intentions and the true nature of his death. Sophia recalled her father's increasing anxiety in his last months, the secretive meetings, and the mounting financial pressures. The life insurance policy seemed to be a desperate measure, perhaps intended to safeguard the family's future amidst his failing business. But its existence also hinted at a darker possibility, one that made Sophia's stomach churn with unease. She pored over the policy's fine print, noting the beneficiary named as her mother. The timing of the policy, coupled with the financial turmoil, suggested that her father might have been planning something drastic. Was it a plan to secure financial stability for his family, or was there a more sinister motive behind it? The discovery of the policy added another layer of complexity to the mystery. It forced Sophia to confront the possibility that her father's death might not have been a simple act of desperation, but a calculated move driven by the unbearable weight of his circumstances. This revelation left Sophia more determined than ever to uncover the full truth, no matter how painful it might be. Sophia stood in the boardroom of the family company, her eyes scanning the faces of the employees and board members. The atmosphere was thick with tension and uncertainty. She had inherited not only the business, but also its myriad problems. Financial crises loomed large, and the shadow of her father's actions cast a long pall over every decision she had to make. The company was on the brink of collapse. Unpaid loans and declining profits had left it in a precarious state. Sophia faced mounting pressure from creditors and investors, each day bringing new challenges that seemed insurmountable. She felt the weight of the responsibility her mother had passed on to her and the burden of her father's legacy. Legal battles ensued as creditors demanded payment, threatening to take over the company's assets. Sophia spent long hours with lawyers, fighting to keep the company afloat. The legal fees and court cases added to the financial strain, making it even harder to find a way out of the crisis. Employee morale was at an all-time low. Rumors of bankruptcy spread, causing fear and uncertainty among the staff. Many began to seek employment elsewhere, leaving Sophia with a shrinking workforce and an overwhelming sense of isolation. She knew she had to find a solution, but the path ahead was fraught with obstacles. In the midst of these struggles, Sophia also had to deal with the public's perception of her family. The revelation of her mother's confession and the ongoing financial troubles had tarnished their reputation. The media was relentless, and every setback was scrutinized and sensationalized, adding to the pressure Sophia faced. Despite the overwhelming odds, Sophia remained determined. She delved deeper into the company's finances, seeking any opportunity to turn things around. Each day was a battle, but she clung to the hope that she could restore the company and honor her parents' legacy. Sophia sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by friends and family who had come to offer their support. The atmosphere was a mix of comfort and tension, as each person shared their advice and perspectives on the challenges she faced. Their concern was genuine, but their opinions often contradicted each other, leaving Sophia feeling more confused than ever. Her best friend suggested seeking a financial advisor to help manage the company's debts. An uncle recommended selling off some of the company's assets to generate quick cash. Her aunt, who had always been close to her father, questioned the legitimacy of the creditors' claims, hinting that there might be foul play involved. Amidst the offers of help, new doubts began to surface. Some friends and family members subtly questioned her ability to lead the company, their doubts evident in their tone and body language. Sophia felt a pang of insecurity, wondering if she was truly capable of saving the business and unraveling the mystery of her parents' past. As the conversations continued, Sophia found herself second-guessing her decisions. Each piece of advice added a new layer of complexity to her already overwhelming situation. She appreciated their support, but struggled with the conflicting emotions their suggestions stirred within her. Despite the confusion, Sophia knew she couldn't navigate this journey alone. She needed their help, even if it came with doubts and differing opinions. She took a deep breath, resolving to sift through their advice and find a path forward that felt true to her own instincts and the legacy she aimed to protect. Sophia sat in a dimly lit room, surrounded by whispering voices and shadowy figures. Rumors about her father's death had spread like wildfire, each new theory more disturbing than the last. Friends, family, and even strangers seemed to have their own versions of the truth, and each conflicting story only added to Sophia's confusion and despair. Some people whispered that her father had been involved in illicit activities, making powerful enemies who had a motive to see him dead. Others suggested that his financial desperation had led him to make a fatal mistake, perhaps even orchestrating his own death to ensure the family's financial security through the life insurance policy. One particularly unsettling rumor hinted at foul play from within the family. There were suggestions that someone close to him might have had a hand in his demise, driven by greed or a desire to cover up his failures. This rumor struck a nerve with Sophia, as it cast suspicion on those she held dear, further complicating her already tangled emotions. Amidst these swirling theories, Sophia struggled to find a thread of truth. The more she heard, the more lost she felt, each new piece of information pulling her in different directions. The weight of the secrets and lies surrounding her father's death was crushing, and the path to uncovering the real story seemed increasingly elusive. Determined to cut through the noise, Sophia knew she had to confront these rumors head-on. She needed to speak to those who were closest to her father, to separate fact from fiction and find the truth that lay hidden beneath layers of deceit and speculation. Sophia met with an ex-family bodyguard, a man in his late 50s with a stern expression and a weathered face. They sat across from each other in a small, dimly lit cafe, the air thick with the weight of unspoken truths. The bodyguard had agreed to meet her after she had insisted that he might hold crucial pieces to the puzzle of her father's death. As they spoke, the bodyguard revealed details that chilled Sophia to her core. He explained that in the months leading up to her father's death, there had been numerous threats against him. The nature of these threats was varied. Some were from business rivals, others from anonymous sources that suggested deeper, more sinister motives. He had been tasked with increasing security around the family, but the pressure on her father had been palpable. The bodyguard recounted nights when her father would stay up late, pacing and making hushed phone calls. There were meetings with shadowy figures, transactions that seemed far from legitimate. Her father's paranoia grew, and he became increasingly isolated, pushing even his closest allies away. One particular incident stood out. The bodyguard recalled a confrontation between her father and a mysterious man in a dark suit. The argument was heated, and the man had left with a menacing threat hanging in the air. This incident had never been reported, kept secret by those loyal to the family. Sophia's mind raced as she absorbed these revelations. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, but the picture they formed was one of danger and betrayal, far beyond what she had imagined. She realized that her father's world had been much darker and more dangerous than she had known, and the true cause of his death might be more complex than she had ever anticipated. Sophia pored over the financial documents spread out before her, the dim light of her desk lamp casting long shadows. The transactions she uncovered were baffling and disturbing, hinting at activities far removed from the legitimate business her father had portrayed. Each entry seemed to weave a tale of deceit and desperation. Sophia found records of large sums of money transferred to offshore accounts, payments to shell companies, and transactions that had no clear business purpose. The documents revealed a web of financial maneuvers that suggested her father might have been involved in money laundering or other illicit activities. The sheer scale and complexity of these transactions painted a picture of a man entangled in something far more dangerous than she had imagined. One document stood out: a payment to an unknown entity just days before her father's death. The amount was substantial, and the nature of the transaction was cryptic. This discovery added another layer of mystery to her father's demise, raising questions about who he was dealing with and what pressures he might have been under. The implications were chilling. These financial irregularities pointed to a hidden side of her father's life, one filled with secrecy and potential criminal activity. Sophia felt a knot of fear tighten in her stomach as she realized the depth of the trouble her father had been in. Determined to understand the full scope of these activities, Sophia knew she needed expert help. She would have to bring in a forensic accountant to trace these transactions and uncover the truth behind her father's financial dealings. The road ahead was fraught with danger and uncertainty, but she was more resolved than ever to uncover the whole truth, no matter where it led. The discovery of a hidden gun in the old family home changed everything. Sophia watched as police officers carefully extracted the weapon from its hiding place beneath a floorboard, the cold metal glinting ominously in the dim light. The gun was quickly bagged as evidence, and the gravity of the situation hit Sophia like a tidal wave. The police had been skeptical about reopening her father's case, but this new piece of evidence left them no choice. The gun matched the description of the one her mother had mentioned in her deathbed confession, and its discovery reignited a case that had been cold for years. The officers handled the situation with a renewed sense of urgency, aware that this revelation could change the course of the investigation. Sophia felt a mix of dread and determination. The re-examination of the case meant that long-buried secrets would come to light, and the truth, no matter how painful, would finally be revealed. The hidden weapon suggested foul play, and the implications were chilling. Was her father's death a planned act of violence, or was there more to the story that she had yet to uncover? The reopening of the case brought a storm of media attention. Reporters swarmed the family home, eager for details and speculating wildly about the possible connections and implications. Sophia had to navigate this new wave of scrutiny while also dealing with the legal and emotional fallout of the police investigation. Each new development added to the complexity of the mystery surrounding her father's death. The hidden gun was a pivotal piece of evidence, but it also raised more questions than it answered. As the police began to dig deeper, Sophia braced herself for the turbulent journey ahead, knowing that the truth was closer than ever, but still shrouded in layers of deceit and danger. Sophia sat across from her lawyer in a stark, brightly lit office, the weight of her mother's confession and the recently uncovered evidence pressing heavily upon her. The implications of the reopened case were beginning to take shape, and the legal consequences were daunting. The lawyer explained that with the discovery of the hidden gun and the confession, the police had enough to build a strong case. Although her mother was no longer alive to face trial, the legal repercussions would still impact the family. The estate could be tied up in legal battles for years, with assets potentially being seized or frozen as part of the investigation. Sophia felt a mix of frustration and helplessness. Her mother's final act of truth-telling had been meant to unburden herself, but it had left Sophia to deal with the fallout. The media frenzy continued unabated, with every new development splashed across headlines and television screens, further complicating her efforts to manage the family business and personal affairs. The lawyer advised Sophia on the next steps, including the possibility of hiring additional legal experts to navigate the complexities of the case. There were discussions about protecting the company from the legal fallout and safeguarding what remained of the family's reputation. Each decision carried significant weight, and the pressure was immense. As Sophia left the lawyer's office, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was caught in a web of her parents' making, struggling to find a way out. The legal battle ahead seemed insurmountable, but she knew she had to face it head-on, for her own sake and to honor her parents' complicated legacy. Sophia stood at the head of the conference table, the weight of the company's future resting heavily on her shoulders. The boardroom was filled with anxious faces, each looking to her for direction amid the chaos. She had inherited not just a company, but a crisis, and the responsibility to steer it through these troubled waters was daunting. The financial strain was suffocating. With assets frozen and debts mounting, finding a way to keep the business afloat seemed almost impossible. Sophia had to make difficult decisions daily, from cutting costs to negotiating with creditors. Every move was scrutinized by her team, and any misstep could mean the end of the company. Employee morale was at an all-time low. Rumors of bankruptcy spread like wildfire, and the uncertainty of their future hung over everyone like a dark cloud. Many employees had started looking for other jobs, fearing the worst. Sophia knew that retaining her team's trust and commitment was crucial, but the constant barrage of bad news made it increasingly difficult. On top of managing the company's day-to-day operations, Sophia had to deal with the ongoing legal battles stemming from her mother's confession and the newly reopened investigation into her father's death. The media continued to hound her, turning every minor development into a sensational story, further damaging the company's reputation. Despite the overwhelming challenges, Sophia remained resolute. She worked tirelessly, often late into the night, driven by a determination to honor her parents' legacy and save the company they had built. She knew the road ahead was fraught with obstacles, but giving up was not an option. Sophia was prepared to fight for the company's survival, no matter how difficult the journey. Sophia walked through the once friendly streets of her neighborhood, feeling the weight of every suspicious glance and whispered conversation. The community that had once rallied around her family now viewed them with distrust and hostility. The revelations about her parents had turned friends into skeptics and supporters into adversaries. The gossip was relentless. Stories about her father's financial troubles and her mother's deathbed confession had spread like wildfire. The media's constant coverage only fueled the fire, painting a picture of a family steeped in scandal and deceit. Everywhere Sophia went, she could feel the eyes of the townspeople on her, their judgment palpable. At the local grocery store, conversations would abruptly stop as she approached, and she could hear the hushed tones of speculation and accusation. Old friends avoided her, their smiles replaced with cold stares. Even casual acquaintances kept their distance, as if her family's troubles were contagious. Sophia tried to hold her head high, but the isolation was suffocating. The support she once took for granted had vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of betrayal and loneliness. She missed the days when her family name was synonymous with respect and integrity. Despite the growing hostility, Sophia was determined to clear her family's name. She knew that earning back the community's trust would be an uphill battle, but she refused to let the weight of their suspicion break her spirit. She continued to fight for the truth, hoping that one day, the full story would come to light, and the community would see her family for who they truly were. Sophia sat across from a private investigator, a man in his early 40s with sharp eyes and an air of quiet competence. They met in a discreet office, away from prying eyes. The decision to hire a professional had not been easy, but Sophia knew she needed expert help to untangle the web of secrets surrounding her family. The investigator listened intently as Sophia recounted everything she had discovered so far. The financial troubles, the life insurance policy, the hidden gun, and the conflicting rumors about her father's death. He took meticulous notes, asking pointed questions to clarify details and uncover new leads. Sophia felt a mix of hope and anxiety. The investigator's reputation was impeccable, and his calm demeanor was reassuring. Yet, the stakes were high, and she couldn't help but worry about what more he might uncover. The investigator promised to approach the case with discretion and thoroughness, understanding the sensitive nature of the situation. He explained the next steps: re-examining the financial records, interviewing key figures from her father's business dealings, and delving deeper into the threatening incidents her father had experienced. Sophia handed over all the documents she had collected, feeling a sense of relief that she was no longer alone in her quest for the truth. As the meeting concluded, the investigator assured Sophia that he would leave no stone unturned. His confidence and professionalism gave her a renewed sense of determination. The road ahead was still fraught with challenges, but with a professional on her side, Sophia felt a glimmer of hope that she might finally uncover the full truth and find some semblance of justice for her family. Sophia's phone buzzed, jolting her from her thoughts. It was the private investigator. His voice was filled with a sense of urgency as he told her he had found something significant. They arranged to meet at his office, and Sophia's heart pounded with a mix of anxiety and hope. When she arrived, the investigator laid out a series of old photographs on the desk. One photo, in particular, caught Sophia's eye. It showed her father in a seemingly candid moment, talking with a man she didn't recognize. The setting was a nondescript office, but the intensity of their conversation was palpable even through the faded image. The investigator explained that this photo had been taken just days before her father's death. The man in the photo was known to be involved in various shady dealings, and his presence raised serious questions about what her father might have been involved in. This could be the key to understanding the true nature of the threats her father faced and the circumstances leading up to his death. Sophia stared at the photograph, her mind racing with possibilities. Who was this man, and what was his connection to her father? The investigator promised to dig deeper, to find out everything he could about the man and his dealings. This photo was a crucial piece of the puzzle, one that could finally lead them to the truth. The discovery gave Sophia a renewed sense of purpose. It was a small breakthrough, but it was enough to keep her going. She thanked the investigator and left his office, clutching the photograph tightly. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, she felt like she was making real progress. Sophia sat in a cozy, modest living room, across from Donna Marta, the family's former housemaid. The elderly woman, now in her late 70s, had a gentle yet weathered face, her eyes reflecting years of hard work and loyalty to Sophia's family. The investigator had found her living quietly in a nearby town, and she had agreed to meet with Sophia to share what she knew. Donna Marta's memories were a treasure trove of insights. She spoke softly, her voice tinged with nostalgia and sadness as she recounted her years with the family. Sophia listened intently, hoping to uncover details that could shed light on the mysteries surrounding her parents. Donna Marta revealed how she had witnessed the strain between Sophia's parents during the tumultuous times. She recounted overhearing late-night arguments and seeing the toll that financial stress took on both of them. She spoke of her father's increasing secrecy and her mother's growing worry, painting a picture of a household under immense pressure. One particularly striking revelation was about a night when Donna Marta had seen her father meeting with a man in the study, a man who matched the description of the person in the photograph the investigator had found. She remembered the tension in the room, the hushed voices, and the worried look on her father's face. This corroborated the idea that her father had been entangled in something dangerous. As the conversation continued, Sophia realized how much her parents had shielded her from the harsh realities of their struggles. The details shared by Donna Marta were invaluable, providing context and filling gaps in Sophia's understanding of her family's past. This meeting was a crucial step in uncovering the truth. Sophia thanked Donna Marta, feeling a mix of gratitude and sorrow. The pieces of the puzzle were coming together, but the full picture was still just out of reach. With renewed determination, Sophia prepared to delve even deeper into the past, knowing that every revelation brought her closer to the truth. Sitting in the dimly lit living room, Sophia listened intently as Donna Marta shared a secret she had kept hidden for years. The elderly woman's voice was steady but tinged with sorrow as she recounted the events of the fateful night that changed everything. Donna Marta explained that on the night of Sophia's father's death, she had been in the kitchen when she heard raised voices coming from the study. Curious and concerned, she had quietly approached the door and listened. Inside, she overheard a heated argument between Sophia's father and the mysterious man from the photograph. The man was threatening her father, demanding repayment of a large sum of money. As the argument escalated, Donna Marta heard the man threaten Sophia's mother and even Sophia herself. The situation became dire when the man drew a gun, pointing it at Sophia's father. In a desperate attempt to protect his family, her father fought back, and in the struggle, the gun went off, fatally wounding him. The intruder, panicking, fled the scene, leaving Sophia's father to die alone. Dona Marta, in shock, entered the room and found her employer bleeding out. He used his last moments to beg her to protect his family and to keep the truth hidden to safeguard them from further danger. With a heavy heart, Dona Marta had agreed, and she had kept the secret ever since, fearing the repercussions if it ever came to light. This revelation was a turning point. Sophia now understood the depth of the danger her family had been in and the lengths her father had gone to protect them. The truth about that night was far more complex and tragic than she had ever imagined. As Sophia processed Dona Marta's words, she felt a mix of sorrow and relief. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together, and she was closer than ever to uncovering the full truth. This crucial piece of information would guide her next steps in her relentless quest for justice. Sophia sat beside Dona Marta, who held a pen with trembling hands. The elderly woman had agreed to write down everything she remembered about the night of her father's death. The task was emotionally taxing, but Dona Marta was determined to set the record straight. As she began to write, the atmosphere was heavy with significance. Each word carried the weight of years of secrecy and fear. Dona Marta's handwriting was shaky, but her resolve was clear. She detailed the argument between Sophia's father and the mysterious man, the threats that were made, and the tragic struggle that ended in death. Sophia watched silently, feeling a profound mixture of sadness and gratitude. This letter was more than just a recounting of events. It was a testament to the courage of a woman who had chosen to protect a family at great personal cost. The truth that Dona Marta pinned down was raw and painful, but it was also liberating. It provided the clarity that Sophia had been desperately seeking. Dona Marta described the man's threats, the desperate fight, and the moment her father fell. She also included her promise to her dying employer to protect his family and keep the truth hidden. As she wrote, tears rolled down her cheeks, but she did not stop. This was her final act of loyalty and love for the family she had served for so many years. When the letter was finally finished, Dona Marta handed it to Sophia with a look of profound relief. Sophia took the letter, her heart heavy with the burden of its contents, but also lightened by the knowledge that the truth was now out in the open. This document was a crucial piece of evidence that would help clear her mother's name and bring justice for her father. With the letter in hand, Sophia felt a renewed sense of purpose. The journey was far from over, but this was a significant step toward uncovering the full truth. She thanked Dona Marta, knowing that this brave act would be remembered as a pivotal moment in her quest for justice. Sophia sat alone in her bedroom, the dim light casting long shadows on the walls. She held the letter from Dona Marta in her hands, her heart heavy with the weight of its revelations. The truth about her parents was devastating, and the emotional impact was overwhelming. Her father, once a figure of strength and integrity in her eyes, was now a complex character shrouded in secrets and desperation. The knowledge that he had been involved in dangerous dealings to protect the family tore at her. The man she had idolized had faced unimaginable pressures, ultimately leading to his tragic end. Sophia's mother, who had always been a pillar of support, was now revealed as a protector who had endured immense suffering in silence. The secret she carried was a testament to her strength, but it also meant that Sophia's entire understanding of her past had been built on a foundation of half-truths and hidden pain. Tears streamed down Sophia's face as she tried to process the conflicting emotions. There was sorrow for the loss of the parents she thought she knew, anger at the injustices they had faced, and a deep sense of betrayal mixed with a newfound respect for their sacrifices. She felt utterly alone, the burden of these revelations too much to bear. The walls of her room seemed to close in on her as she struggled with the magnitude of the truths she had uncovered. Yet, amid the despair, there was also a flicker of resolve. Sophia knew she had to continue her quest for justice, not only to honor her parents' memory, but also to find peace for herself. As she composed herself, Sophia realized that this journey, as painful as it was, had given her a deeper understanding of her parents' love and the lengths they had gone to protect her. It was a bittersweet realization, one that fueled her determination to uncover the full truth and bring closure to the chapter of her life marked by secrets and sorrow. Sophia sat in her living room, the letter from Dona Marta and the photograph of the mysterious man laid out on the coffee table in front of her. The decision weighed heavily on her mind. Revealing the truth to the authorities would change everything. It would mean exposing her family's darkest secrets and facing potential backlash from the community and legal consequences. Despite the risks, Sophia knew it was the right thing to do. Her parents had sacrificed so much to protect her, and it was time for her to honor their memory by uncovering the full truth. With a deep breath, she picked up the phone and called the local police department, requesting a meeting with the lead investigator on her father's case. When the day of the meeting arrived, Sophia felt a mix of anxiety and resolve. She walked into the police station, clutching the crucial evidence tightly. The lead investigator greeted her with a stern yet curious expression as she explained her reason for being there. She handed over the letter and the photograph, her voice steady despite the emotional turmoil she felt inside. The investigator listened carefully, his expression shifting from skepticism to intrigue as Sophia recounted the details. He promised to review the new evidence thoroughly and assured her that the case would be reopened. The weight of the decision lifted slightly from Sophia's shoulders as she realized that she had taken a significant step towards justice. Leaving the police station, Sophia felt a newfound sense of determination. The truth was finally coming to light, and she was no longer alone in her quest. The path ahead was still uncertain, but with the authorities now involved, there was hope that her family's name could be cleared and justice could be served. The revelation of the new evidence sent shockwaves through the media. Headlines blared with sensational titles, and news channels ran constant coverage of the reopened case. Journalists camped outside Sophia's house, eager for statements and interviews. The public's reaction was intense and divided, with people forming strong opinions based on the emerging details. Some saw Sophia's father as a tragic figure, a man driven to desperation by financial ruin and the need to protect his family. Others viewed him as complicit in dangerous activities, deserving of the consequences he faced. The opinion on Sophia's mother was equally split. Many sympathized with her, understanding the impossible situation she had been placed in, while others questioned her actions and the long-hidden secrets. Sophia herself became a reluctant public figure. Her face was plastered on every news outlet, and her every move was scrutinized. Reporters speculated on her motives, her emotions, and her future plans. She found herself caught in a whirlwind, struggling to maintain her composure while the world dissected her family's past. The media frenzy brought additional pressure on the authorities to resolve the case quickly. The lead investigator assured Sophia that they were doing everything possible to review the new evidence and bring justice. However, the constant public scrutiny made the process more challenging and stressful for everyone involved. As Sophia watched the news reports, she felt a mix of anxiety and determination. The storm of media attention was overwhelming, but it also meant that the truth was finally being acknowledged. She knew that navigating this new reality would be difficult, but she was resolved to see it through. The path to justice was fraught with obstacles, but Sophia was prepared to face them head-on. As the investigation progressed, Sophia's life remained under the intense glare of the media spotlight. She continued to cooperate with the authorities, providing every piece of evidence she had. The lead investigator worked tirelessly, piecing together the puzzle of her father's death and her mother's desperate actions. Weeks turned into months, and the case seemed to grow more complex. However, one evening, Sophia received an unexpected call from the investigator. He had uncovered new evidence that might finally bring clarity to the entire situation. Sophia felt a mix of hope and apprehension as she made her way to the police station. In the investigator's office, Sophia sat down, her heart pounding. The investigator laid out a series of documents and photographs on the table. Among them was a detailed financial report from her father's company, highlighting transactions that had initially seemed unrelated. But upon closer examination, they revealed a pattern of embezzlement and fraud by one of her father's closest business associates. The investigator explained that this associate had been funneling money out of the company for years, leading to the financial ruin that had driven Sophia's father to desperation. This associate had also been involved in illegal activities, and when Sophia's father discovered the truth, he had confronted him. Fearing exposure and retribution, the associate had threatened Sophia's family, leading to the fateful night where everything unraveled. Sophia listened in shock as the investigator revealed the final piece of the puzzle. The gun found in the well had not been placed there by her mother alone. The associate had coerced Donna Marta into hiding the weapon to cover his tracks. Her father's plan to stage a robbery was an act of ultimate desperation, trying to protect his family from the associate's threats. Donna Marta's letter, coupled with this new evidence, painted a tragic yet clearer picture of the events. Sophia's mother had acted out of a mix of fear and love, trying to protect her child from a danger she couldn't fully comprehend. The associate's actions had set a chain of events into motion, leading to the tragic outcome. The authorities moved quickly to apprehend the associate. The media erupted once more, but this time, the narrative shifted. Reports now focused on the true villain behind the scenes, the man whose greed and malice had brought such pain to Sophia's family. Public opinion began to turn, with many expressing sympathy and support for Sophia and her late parents. Sophia felt a bittersweet sense of closure. The truth had finally emerged, bringing justice for her parents. She knew the road ahead would still be challenging, but the weight of uncertainty had lifted. The family's name was being cleared, and Sophia could start rebuilding her life and the company with a renewed sense of purpose. Standing outside the courthouse after the associate's arrest, Sophia took a deep breath. The storm of the past months had been harrowing, but she had emerged stronger and more determined than ever. Her parents' legacy was one of resilience and love, and she intended to honor that in every way possible. The media's focus gradually shifted away as the story reached its conclusion. Sophia continued to work diligently, leading the company with integrity and transparency. The lessons she had learned through this ordeal became the foundation of her leadership, guiding her decisions and actions. As time passed, Sophia found moments of peace and reflection. She visited her parents' graves, laying flowers and speaking to them in the quiet of the cemetery. She felt their presence and their strength within her, a constant reminder of the love that had guided them through their darkest times. Sophia's journey had been fraught with pain and discovery, but it had also brought her a profound understanding of her family's true nature. The final resolution, while unexpected, had given her the clarity and peace she needed to move forward.